What is up, hotties? Welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot. I'm BLAIDEN Kirk, joined as always by my two favorite co-hosts of all time in Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash. We have a great episode planned for you all today. We're going to, of course, start off by going over Game 3 of the NBA Finals. And then we're going to talk about some NBA storylines. Aaron Donald and Cooper Kupp got big extensions. We're going to talk about those. Got to talk about the Deshaun Watson news, what that means for the Cleveland Browns. And then we're going to finish off with a new segment that we're calling Rank It, where you guessed it, we're going to rank it. You'll find out what it is shortly. But before we get into all that, Matt, Theo, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. Just had a good finals game. We've had a limited number of good playoff games this year. So.
Got to take advantage of the ones we get.
I like to watch the Celtics when they're really cooking. They're inconsistent, but when they're really cooking, they're such a fun team to watch. And I'm so jealous of Robert Williams, dude. That's the like. Obviously, it's not the number one player I'd want to have on the Hornets, but like, it kind of is, dude. They'd win 75 games if they had him.
No, they would.
Theo, how are you doing? You're in the back rooms today.
I'm good. I wish I was in Pacific time. I miss Pacific time. We're recording these after the finals. It's 11 o'clock for me. It's midnight for you guys. I'm missing the days when I was in Pacific time and it was 9 o'clock right now. Truly the greatest time to watch sports. But yeah, last day here in Minnesota. Then I'm flying back to Phoenix to my apartment, and I'm sure that'll be a big help for everybody at Blue Wire now that I'm not out and about and just sitting in my apartment doing work. So I think I haven't been posting very consistent. This is all to say I haven't been posting very consistently over the last week or two.
That's okay.
So I'm getting back into the groove of things starting tomorrow.
We forgive you.
And everybody who has to work with me should be happy to hear that.
Well, speaking of work, just a reminder to everyone to subscribe to the YouTube channel for all the great content.
No, don't subscribe to the YouTube channel this time. Subscribe to the chalkboard. Don't subscribe.
You got to do some like.
Oh,
I was thinking you were going for like a reverse psychology type thing.
No, straight
actually,
up.
You probably aren't cool enough to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Actually,
I mean, I guess you can if you want. This week, what we really want you to do is download the Chalkboard app from the App Store, and then join our little band where we're talking about sports and answering questions and just kind of. What did I say tonight in the Chalkboard app? What did I say? I said Jordan Poole was going to have 10 points tonight. How many points did Jordan Poole have tonight?
I'm guessing 10 because you wouldn't have brought it up otherwise.
Well, I don't know. I just know that he was at 8.
I thought you were flexing.
He had 10 points tonight. Okay, he had 10 points tonight.
Look at you, Theo.
This is the kind of analysis you're missing if you're not in the Chalkboard.
If you want to know exactly how many points a certain player is going to score in any given game, you have to join the Chalkboard.
To be fair, I said that he was going to do it on 4 for like 13 shooting with 3 turnovers, which he didn't have, but I did say he had 10 points.
Yeah, and that's all that matters is you got that one right. We're also talking about my album in the Chalkboard, and how it's going to be the album of the year.
Dropping on my birthday. It means
on your
a
birthday. Lot. Matt, would you say it's fair to say that the only thing you want for your birthday is for people to save my album and stream my album?
That and world peace. So
that and world
I'm 1
peace.
for 2. We're not tracking to hit the other goal by July 4th, but
which one are we tracking to hit?
The album.
Okay. Fair enough. But you can join Chalkboard by pretty much clicking the link on all of our socials and just following the link. Download the Chalkboard app. Join. It's basically Discord meets like ESPN meets like a hub for all of your
it's Discord but more
stuff.
Sports focused with some cool features. It's worth checking out, I think.
And we also have a direct line to the developers, so if there's anything that you guys want us to add to it or want them to add to it, you can just hit us up and be like, hey, this would be cool, and we can probably get it done for you. But let's talk about some basketball.
Celtics came to play tonight. It was awesome. I love when they come to
quarter,
play.
Yeah, they had an emphasis on the third quarter, clearly. and they were not going to let the game get away from them in that specific time frame. And they did a good job.
It looked like it was that. For a second. For a second there, then that 7-point possession, and all of a sudden I had in the drafts, third quarter Warriors, blah, 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 my Twitter. But the Celtics ended up leading after the third, and then the Warriors fell apart in the fourth. I just thought, I remember at the beginning of the game, they were talking about Draymond Green's physicality and how the Celtics would need to adjust to that. And I thought defensively, they came out and they wanted it. They were jumping lanes. They were playing tough. There was still some drop coverage on Curry, which is always a little questionable.
You got to mix it up a little bit, though. You can't always.
There's definitely some truth to that.
And also with Draymond, I think like he can't play like that twice in a row because obviously game 2, he probably should have. I mean,
they're going to get you for that eventually, 100%.
Right, especially when the game is in Boston. Right, the whistle's not probably going to be as friendly, and also, if everyone knows you just got away with like a bunch of shit in the last game, you probably got to calm it down for a little bit. So he probably couldn't quite be as physical and as much of a pest as he was in game 2.
He just got fouled out.
He just fouled out.
And
yeah,
he has. I mean, I'm very much a let him play type guy. I think the whole point of playoff basketball is that it's more physical. Like that's what makes it more enjoyable.
No, yeah, absolutely.
There's a line.
It gets to the point, right? No,
there's a line.
Yes, there was a play in game 2 where he was like straight up walking and just like a fullback, just pushing guys out of the way, and it's like, okay, can't do that.
Yeah. If you want to go play linebacker for the 49ers, we can arrange that. But
I think Draymond would be a great football player. I think that Draymond.
I think he would too.
He almost played at Michigan State, didn't he?
Yeah, he almost played tight end. I think that he'd be a nasty blocker. All right. I don't know what his athletic testing scores would look like. I can't imagine he runs a great 40 time, but or a tackle, someone who, you got the long arms, the mean streak. He'd be the Trevor Penny. He'd be Trevor Penny. He'd be throwing guys.
I feel like he'd be better than Trevor Penning.
Maybe. I mean, he almost played he could have played football at Northern Iowa. I'm convinced of that. But anyway, I do think Draymond was his impact and his fouls, the way they were called in game 2 versus game 3 was a little different. And the center play from the Celtics and the play from their
Robert Williams is just so good, dude.
Yeah, why don't you talk about the future Hornet, Matt?
The future Hornet. I mean, he's got to be the best shot blocker. Maybe. I don't. Maybe
ever
that much, but dude, maybe forever. And going forward, he's just so ridiculous defensively. He's been banged up this playoffs, and I feel like he hasn't been able to really show off, his ability 100%. But his recovery is unnatural sometimes. It's the type of stuff where if a CPU did that against me in 2K, I'd be pissed and say that's super unrealistic. It never happened. But he's able to pull it off. And both of their center. This is the thing. You heard all this stuff about you notice how all the teams in the conference finals aren't, they're not too worried about their center play. 3 of the 4 of them had great interior defenders. Celtics center play is a big part of why they're so good. Same with the Heat, same with the Warriors, and the Mavs struggled because they didn't have it. So I just think that's so important for the Celtics. And the other thing we've been talking about, maybe every single time we've talked about the Celtics on the podcast, ball movement. Tatum absolutely has the ability to move the ball effectively. And when he does, the Celtics win. I think he had close to 10 assists this game.
Yeah.
But he was
aggressive. He wasn't shooting the ball well from range, but he did a great job. He'd be at beyond the 3-point line and just be like, "I'm taking this one to the basket." He did it probably 5, 6, 7 times tonight, just driving all the way, ISO ball, and not only that, but also sharing the ball a little bit. But aggressiveness while also sharing the ball,
and he played great. That's 100% what it comes down to. It's you want to be, you have to. It's a fine line to be aggressive when you need to be and move the ball well when you need to. If you go one way too far, you're not going to be as effective. And Tatum did a great job balancing. And he had, I can't remember when in the game it was, he had one absolutely ridiculous across the court pass on the money. For the life of me, I can't remember who it was to.
You think he's Mahomes?
You know what I heard all week? I heard, or not, yeah, I guess all week was that I heard a lot of guys saying, Jaylen Brown might be the better player than Tatum.
Well, we heard one guy in our comment section of our NBA.
It's a fringe opinion. It's wrong.
I do agree that it's wrong, but tonight Jaylen Brown looked amazing.
Jaylen Brown played extremely well tonight. He's hot cold, but he played extremely well tonight, and that was also big.
He was huge, and he was shooting great from three. He was aggressive, inside, and his defense was spectacular.
I know you're thinking about that one block he had. I forget who it was
against
on.
Curry.
I know which block you're.
Was it against? I think it was against Curry. It was either against Curry or Clay.
I'm like the opposite of when those. I'm the opposite of when those players are like, I can recall this play from 5 years ago exactly. I can't recall this play from half an hour ago at all.
But that's because they played in the game. It's a lot easier to recall a play that you played in.
I think
I can tell you exactly what happened to the T when I broke my collarbone. So.
I think that Curry, we hope that he's fine because he left that game. It was a little bit out of hand. And although I do think the Warriors kind of maybe gave up a bit earlier than they should have, or kind of pulled the plug a little bit earlier than they should have. But at any rate, Al Horford's entire body kind of fell on his leg and he was in a lot of pain and left the game. Steve Kerr in the postgame just said, we'll know more tomorrow. So doesn't sound like he walked off and everything, but definitely something to keep an eye on there. But again,
you can walk on a torn ACL, so
you can. It didn't look quite like that because when you tear your ACL,
it's like your leg contorts
right. It didn't look quite that bad, but definitely we'll see. And if he's not 100%, those Celtics win this series, right? I think so. And Clay had a good game tonight for sure. And Steph did pretty well himself, but it just comes down to I think some of the offensive firepower of the Warriors can be a little bit lacking sometimes still. I think that showed up in long stretches tonight, especially towards the beginning. Poole hasn't been the third star he was in the first series against Nuggets. Not at all.
Right.
He's looked more like a bench,
Thank God he hit those couple of really nice shots last game, because otherwise, dude, the narrative right now would be nuts.
Yeah, no, he's definitely on thin ice, and I'm kind of anticipating him being as much. I've said so many good things about Poole this playoff run, and I really do think he's a good player. But this Celtics defense has been really tough on him, and I don't know if he's going to figure it out and be this 20 point a night guy in this series. Yeah. If Steph is hurt, and it's Clay who's really let's say what it is, he's fine. I think if Curry is hindered, the offense for the Warriors could actually get kind of rough pretty fast against the Celtics defense. So definitely something to watch out for. And even though there was the big blowout in game 2, even something I was concerned about then. So I think that it's shaping up. They're up 2-1.
Yeah,
job's not finished. That's 2-1 home game next game. The Celtics are. I was
not worried when the Celtics got blown out in game 2. I'm like, they're going home for 2 games, and they've been the best recovery team in the playoffs thus far. If they get blown out, I'm not worried about it at all. So.
I'm worried if Curry's hurt. I tweeted out after Draymond fouled out, I'm like, I don't know how you could clobber a guy like that and be like, that's not a foul, but maybe. Every time I tweet something like that, I always get comments like, well, he was arguing that the thing before was a foul, and then I start questioning myself. But
yeah,
I don't know what you guys thought of that play. I thought it was I guess I could see it as a loose ball foul. Yeah, but I also thought that maybe it was just them letting him play a little bit and diving for the ball there.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. We see dog piles for the basketball a decent amount, and I don't know. It was
in the playoffs. They're often. We'll see.
Did Horford break the code? Did Horford break the code? Horford broke the code. God damn it! No, I don't know. I didn't think it was anything particularly heinous from Horford. Right? It's the NBA Finals. He's diving for the ball. He's 6'10". Right. Curry's 6 feet tall. Curry's going to get crushed in that situation. But I don't blame. He's not Cam Newton. Horford's not Cam Newton out here. All right, he's going to actually dive for the ball in an important game. Oh. So I don't know. Oh, you're wearing the Panthers shirt.
Well, he's also not Aaron Rodgers because he's actually in the finals.
Oh,
Rodgers has a
Because he
ring.
didn't lose in the NFC Championship
Rodgers
game.
has a ring, bro.
I'm
Rodgers
staying
has
out
a
of this
ring, bro.
conversation.
He lucked
Rodgers has
into
a ring,
one
bro.
ring.
He's
You
got
think
one
he's
ring.
good?
He's got his ring. Hey, he's got
He
a ring,
wouldn't have
bro.
a ring if he had played with
Please.
Mike Rimmers, man.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
staying out of this conversation.
James Harrison sadly would have put a quick end to the Packers Super Bowl hopes if it wasn't.
Rimmers actually
know
ended up being okay at guard a while. That was just a tough game. Von Miller's a tough
tackles?
assignment. I don't want to hate on Rimmers too much. I feel he's heard too much about
I'm
it.
trying to remember who the Packers tackles were during the Super Bowl run now, and I'm feeling bad because I can't remember. Once I hear who it is, I'm gonna. Anyway, go on. I'm gonna yell their names in about 10 seconds.
No, we'll wait for you, Theo. No, we're not waiting.
And that's gonna be dead air until you figure out their names, man. But
what was his name? Chad Clifton. That's who it was. Chad Clifton.
Of course.
He was really good. And Mark
you have
Tauscher. I knew Balaga was on that team, but I wasn't sure if he was starting. Okay.
Was Balaga on that team?
No, he was a rookie.
Okay.
No, Mark
I was about to say
Tauscher and Chad
I didn't think he had been in the league that long.
Chad Clifton, one of the great underrated tackles of all time, man. All right, Chad Clifton. I think he was he's a Pro Bowler. That's still
why he's
pretty
underrated.
Good.
That's why.
He's a Pro Bowler.
Not an All-Pro player.
But
He got 6th place for Comeback Player of the Year in 2003. Put some respect on his name.
You know
Anyway,
who
that
else?
has nothing to
You
do
know
with the
who
finals.
else's name you should put some respect on?
Mine.
who's
Our good friends over at PrizePicks, where they make daily fantasy easy. PrizePicks offers more NBA props than any other DFS operator and offers every player and stat category you can think of. Just pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10 times on any entry, and it's just you against the projected numbers. PrizePicks allows for mixed sport entries. So, for example, you could take the over on, Klay Thompson and combine it with the, I didn't think of an MLB player.
Manny Machado.
Manny Machado. We'll combine it with the under on Manny Machado. And users that deposit and use our promo code will receive a 100% instant deposit match, up to $100. Just be sure to use a promo code STAYHOT. That's all one word, by the way, stay hot. Don't hesitate. Check out PrizePicks.com, use the promo code STAYHOT, or go to your app store, download the PrizePicks app today, because PrizePicks makes daily fantasy easy. Anyway, you guys want to talk about some NFL news?
I do.
Yeah. Starting with
where should we start?
Rams, Browns. Who should we start with?
We could start with the Browns. Just get it out of the way.
Shocking pick.
They did their research on Watson.
They did their research.
They did their research, I guess.
Their research on Watson was watching his 2020 game against the Patriots.
No, the research on Watson was watching his game against the Browns.
Yeah,
where
like,
he
he
almost beat them, even though there was like the Browns couldn't throw the ball at all, and Watson could. But Nick Chubb saved the day, thank God.
Yeah, I mean it's bad, obviously, and it's not that much worse than what it was like 3 months ago, right?
We have all the same information we had before.
The New York Times article is like, oh yes, there's more that you aren't even suing that back up the same story. Exactly. It's like, okay. And then there's another allegation that's pretty bad. And it's like, okay, well, that's not that much new, but people are acting like things have completely changed. It's like, no, Deshaun Watson's been shitty the whole time. Trading for him was a shitty thing. And I think that, I don't think we need to go on a whole rant about how unethical and immoral Watson is. Like,
I would like to offer a rebuttal to anyone that tries to defend him. I've been thinking about this for a while now, because I think like the whole innocent until proven guilty argument, it's just like it's such a cop out. Like you don't actually have anything to say. So here's the argument
I wrote on that.
Did you wrote an article on that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wrote an article about that as soon as the Watson news dropped, where it's like, well, what I've started doing is whenever people bring up like the court cases, is just saying common court L. I think that's all that needs to be said. I think that's starting to speak their language a little bit, where it's like the courts don't usually even get things right.
Yeah.
But and it's a slippery slope, but consent is something that's impossible to prove in a court. And
it is.
Yeah, it's just a mess.
And I don't know. I think that's sometimes like doesn't get through.
And also the court in the NFL is not the same thing. And that's kind of what it comes down to with the Browns, where it's like,
right.
Calvin Ridley didn't do anything against the law, right? He didn't get arrested.
Right.
He didn't even do anything illegal. You can still get suspended if you make the league look bad. All right. And if it rises to that occasion, and it has for Deshaun Watson, he's probably getting suspended for at least a half a year. I don't know. At least a half a year.
You think?
I think it starts at a year probably for him.
Yeah, I mean, you think about like the NFL at this point. I posted a tweet about this. You have to prove that you care at least as much as like you do when it comes to like marijuana and sports betting. You have to prove that you care at least as much, about sexual assault.
I think we're going to see the return of the commissioner's exempt list, which is not really a specific amount of games. It's just kind of you're banned until further notice. We saw that with Adrian Peterson after he beat his kid with a tree branch, and they kind of let the court system work a little bit. And I think we're going to see the same thing with Watson. And, I think there's a real chance that he just is barred from the league. I really do. Like with he just can't be the face of a franchise. Like the NFL, it hurts their bottom line. It makes them look bad. And of course it does, right? He's like, there's, I think, a lot of evidence that he's a sexual predator. So I don't know. I think like it's going to be really dark days ahead for the Browns, right? Just because I think and again, that if that does come down, like, what does that say about the GM who just traded all this for a guy who they knew this could happen, right? They knew there was all these allegations. The coaching staff knew. And, I think that this really could blackball Andrew Berry, or not blackball, because that makes it sound like it's unfair. But I really think this could impact Andrew Berry's career. I think this could end Kevin Stefanski's career. I really think it could rise to that level.
The Browns can never have nice things. That's basically the moral of this story.
Them trading for an elite quarterback is actually the worst thing they've done yet. Is such a ironic thing about
it's
them.
So fuck.
They're the worst.
Anyone. So here's my rebuttal to anyone trying to defend Deshaun Watson. Imagine I go up to you and I ask if I can borrow $20, and you say no. So I just steal $100 cash, like out of your back pocket, and I just put it in my pocket. And you say, "Hey, you stole $100 from me." I can just say, "No, I didn't." Right? If no one else saw me do it, right? Like I can just say, "Oh no, I didn't," and you would have no proof. But I stole $100.
Or in this case, it's like Watson says, like, yes, sex happened. The woman says, yes, sex happened. Watson says, well, she was into it though. The girl says, no, I didn't. You bring that to a court and it says, well, prove who's right. You can't do, the woman could be telling the truth. There's just no way to prove it. There's no way to prove it. And that's why the court is a little different.
But then when you get to 24, but then when you get to 24 women, then it's
when you get to 24.
Well, let's talk about probability, right? Like,
or just
there's a
talk about
50-50 chance. Times,
it's not even math.
Times.
It's just how human beings work, right? I mean, you're not organizing like the New York Times and 25 random people, and I see so many people organizing all that for a hit on a quarterback. Especially when Watson himself in court has been like, oh yeah, she was crying for some reason. I don't know why. What I apologized to her because she was crying, but I have no idea why. There's no one forcing Watson to say that, right? He's just saying that on his own, right? And there's his lawyer being like,
I actually think I've seen less and less people doubting as more and more stories have come up. Obviously not everybody, but I do feel like the percentage of people is lower, which is a good thing.
I think most people understand that. Most of our listeners at this point understand.
That's what I figure.
Yeah. I still see a lot of comments that I'm like, you're shitty.
Yeah.
As far as it goes for the Browns themselves, though, I mean, what we've been saying is that maybe if the league takes drastic action, which is not unthinkable at this point, and Watson just can't play his contract, that the Browns would maybe
contract
get the contract voided, but the trade has been made.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the picks is
and
already
the Texans
been used,
have been indicated a little bit in that New York Times article as well. The Texans, there's some they fired their equipment manager pretty suddenly in February, which kind of turned some heads. That's kind of like, now that it's revealed that he had help kind of within the staff providing him NDAs and maybe some like a spot for him. So I don't know if the Texans fully knew. Maybe Watson was like, I needed a non-disclosure agreement for something, but I don't know how to file them. Like NFL people have lots of resources to do whatever basically they want. So maybe they're like, we can help you for that, and didn't ask questions. But yeah, not a great look for the Texans either. But there's language in the contract of the Browns that could, if he's barred from the league, let's say that happens, he's not getting $230 million from the league. I'll tell you that right now. So the contract can be voided, but I mean, I think those picks are gone forever. There is a world where maybe the Texans, if the Texans did something horrible too, if it's revealed that it happened, I think maybe they could just take the Texans pick away. But they're certainly not giving them back to the Browns. That's for sure.
Yeah,
there's a chance where just no one gets any picks.
Yeah,
no one involved with this gets any draft picks. But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a mess. I'm glad I'm not.
The Browns can never have nice.
I'm glad I'm not the Browns or Texans front office right now.
Yes, I'm glad I'm not Watson. I'm glad I'm not a lawyer. I'm glad I'm.
I just want. I am Baker. If you're watching this, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
any negative thing I've ever said about you, Baker, I'm sorry. Please. I hope your shoulder's good to go, man.
He's not. That's another interesting thing is like, here's a hypothetical, like purely football related. Does Baker come back if Watson's suspended for the whole year? I kind of think.
On a contract year, you kind of
Baker reluctantly. I saw someone tweeted at me. Baker reluctantly comes back. Baker reluctantly comes back and leads the Browns to a Super Bowl victory.
What if,
buddy? This is
what if.
we're pretty far.
Listen, man, if that happens, like
Bladen's writing fan fiction right now, and then everybody clapped. The coach,
and then everybody clapped.
That was Barack Obama. Yeah, that was a young boy. A young boy went up to Baker at the end and said, I can't imagine. I love how you took over from that rotten Deshaun Watson." And that young boy, you inspired me to take action in my own community to make it a safer place. And that boy grew up to be Barack Obama. That's Bladen's fan fiction.
Well, some more NFL news happened. It wasn't just the Browns. As much as I would love to have a podcast where we talked about the Browns for 70 minutes.
We do.
We're pretty close, though.
We're pretty close.
The Rams signed, probably their two best players from last season to massive extensions.
Oh, what did Van Jefferson get?
Is he on your fantasy team, Matt?
He is. But yeah,
Matt's fantasy team has signed Van Jefferson to a large contract.
To a very large contract. Now, Aaron Donald comes in as the largest non-quarterback contract in NFL history. Theo, I think you had the details for that.
Yeah, it's basically like works out to about $33 million a year over the next 3 years. And, I mean, was it a good deal? Is it a bad deal? It's Aaron Donald. Of course, it's a good
it's a good deal.
Without Aaron Donald, this is what the front seven would look like for the Rams. It would go A'Shaun Robinson, Greg Gaines, Marquise Copeland, Justin Hollis, Bobby Wagner, Ernest Jones, Leonard Floyd, which is not good. You're not repeating the Super Bowl without Aaron Donald. All right. He's the best defensive player ever in my book. At least him and LT, I think, are like 1A, 1B. Like he's just as dominant.
It's got to be neck and neck.
He's just as dominant in this era as LT was in his, right? He's been the best defensive player for like the last decade, like a decade straight of just being the undisputed best, right? So I mean, even Mahomes, right, or even Brady has had years where they're like clearly not the best quarterback.
Yeah, I mean,
Donald's
Donald's
never had a year where he's
years.
not the best defensive tackle, right? It's never happened. So.
Donald's had years where he's been the best interior defensive lineman, the best defensive player, and just straight up the best player in the NFL. Right. So it's like Cooper Kupp also got an extension.
And it's not as big as I thought it might be. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I mean,
the Kupp one, or
the term overpaid is so overused, dude. It's like, unless I really stand by, unless you would choose to not sign them and let them walk, let Aaron Donald retire or pay him that much money. Like if those are your two options, unless the better option is to let him retire, it's not an overpay. Yeah, it sucks when you have to pay your players a lot of money. It's not a good thing, but that doesn't mean it's not the right call. Some teams also have to sacrifice.
Imagine what happens if you just don't pay Aaron Donald. Because like everyone in the locker, like everyone at that point knows.
Oh, he retires.
Well, if you don't pay Aaron Donald, who's worth paying, right?
Right. And it's like it's tough because a lot of times overpays really happen when you give a good player, a really good player, a great top end contract, but giving a top end guy, best at their position, one of the best at their position, one of the best contracts at their position, not an overpay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Right. And a lot of people are like, oh, how do the Rams sign all these guys, right? It's like, how do you get Stafford and Bobby Wagner and Allen Robinson and Cooper Kupp to sign on all these extensions? And the answer is basically you let Von Miller walk, you let Odell walk, you let Austin Corbett walk, you let Darius Williams walk, you let, who else do they let? Sebastian Joseph Day walk, right? That's how you do it. And you also... I mean, guess what Aaron Donald's base salary this year is, and Matthew Stafford's? It's $1.5 million. So you backload these deals, you'll worry about it later. And it's not that cap isn't real, because like I said, they just let all those guys walk. But there's ways to do it. There's ways to do it, and don't act like the Rams haven't lost anybody. I mean, those are some big names. I mean, they don't win the Super Bowl without the additions of Vaughn and Odell midseason last year. So, yeah.
No, you're right.
And I definitely think...
I'm picking the 49ers to win that division. I think the Rams lost too much.
I think, I do think like the Rams offseason has been extremely overrated by people just because they're like, how? And it's like, if... There's a good, like Bobby Wagner if Bobby Wagner doesn't play better than he did last year, that's a massive overpay. If Allen Robinson doesn't play better than he did last year, like substantially better, it's a massive overpay, right? If these guys play anywhere close to where they were last year, these are bad contracts for them and not really net positives on a football team. So the NFC is weak. Yeah. It's weaker than the AFC. The Rams could win, but if they were in the AFC, like I truly don't think the Rams are this like unbeatable super team, super power, like a lot of people are making them out to be. Like they're signing just all the top guys and all the good free agents. It's like Bobby Wagner looked bad last year. I hate to say it, but it's true. And Allen Robinson looked bad last year. I hate to say it, but it's true. So it's not like they're unbeatable. I mean, there were stretches towards the back end of the regular season this year. They damn near lost to the Bengals without Odell. I mean, the offense ground to a total halt in the Super Bowl when Odell got hurt. And it was by literally force feeding Cooper Kupp at the end that they were able to squeak enough points on the board. So I think like the Rams, certainly a very good team and a playoff team. But I do think like they're going to be the popular pick to repeat and make it out of the NFC again at the very least. I don't think they're going to do it. That's kind of my take on their offseason. But obviously, they'd have absolutely no shot if they didn't get these contracts done. And you have to get these contracts done, too. I think that's the other thing. It's like you don't. Yeah.
I mean,
Cooper Kupp has a season he does. You get a contract extension. That's the message you send to your players is like, if you ball out for us,
Aaron Donald,
giving you $30 million.
Arguably the best defensive player of all time. Been with the franchise forever. It's like, yeah, dude, you're gonna pay that. Yes, like, if you're not paying him, dude, what does it take?
What message does that send to the other guys? That's another like running back, like Nick Chubb, the Nick Chubb deal. videos of him in the workout room benching 600 pounds, right? And how hyped everybody gets watching that, and just how hyped you are to have him on your team as a teammate. You don't let guys like that walk out the door, even if they're a running back, even if they're, 32 years old like Aaron Donald is. You just pay them. You just pay them. And you say, if you are a star for this team, if you perform well for us, we will reward you with a rich contract. And that's the message you want to send to all your young guys and all the potential breakout guys you have, is like, here's some incentive. Look at Kupp, right? He just got $80 million. And the Kupp deal was actually a little bit less than I thought it would be. So, I wonder if that's him just being a selfless guy, or, if it kind of goes to show that's probably what it is, right? He probably could have demanded whatever he wanted. He probably could have gotten $30 million a year if he really, really needed to.
I agree with you, Theo. I think if someone's a cornerstone of your roster, I don't care what position they play. Like if it's Justin Tucker, like you bring him back, right?
Yeah. Well, if he's just, I think you just got to reward franchise cornerstones, and that will help motivate the younger players that will make them want to play for you. If you get a big pay raise for doing good work instead of letting them retire. I mean, it's Aaron Donald. But Cooper Kupp is, I guess, the other big deal that happened. And I thought that was a little bit lower than I even anticipated it being.
I mean, really, it's when you think about Cooper Kupp's deal, he has this year and next year. So I think he would have been a free agent after 2023.
Yes.
They extended him through 2026.
And that's another answer to where are they getting all this money to sign people? It's like, well, this was an extension, so this is like 3 years or 2 years in the future, right? When not, this is money that is being like later. And I think this is a great deal for the Rams, because wide receiver contracts could even be more insane by the time this deal really starts.
It'll only age well. They'll only get more expensive. This will only look more reasonable.
Kupp's going to get his $75 million guaranteed. Right, which if you're a guy like Cooper Kupp, that's the exact I think what you want. Right, it's like a 98% guaranteed contract.
Is it? That's probably why it was a discount a little bit. It's like, I mean, I'm taking a little bit less money for it to be fully guaranteed every day.
Exactly. It's $78.5 million over 3 years and $75 million guaranteed. You take that, right? The total deal over the next 5 years is 110. But if I'm getting 75 mil guaranteed, like I'm not worried about getting 150. Like give me my 75 up front. Like
and maybe he probably could have gotten more if he really, really demanded it, but sounds like he may not have. But you're hoping that he looks like he did this year. Obviously the Kupp from any year that is not this year probably isn't worth that much money, but looking forward, I can't imagine that the role changes that much, right? Like his success on option routes, right, is just putting the defense in a bind, because if you do it right, it can't really be defended, because whatever you do, you're going to be wrong, because the wide receiver has the option to, break it inside or keep going straight. And that's where a lot of Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford's like mind melding chemistry came into play. And it's like that's not really going anywhere. It wasn't like you can't just, I just don't think you can just easily just cover that, because on option, like if a guy who's running a bunch of option routes is just going to be able to do the right thing, like I don't think it's fluky. I think like maybe this many yards and this many touchdowns is probably not happening again, but I still think that he's got a very clear path to being the most productive, or one of the most productive wide receivers in football for the next several years.
Anyone who says he's not a top 5 or top 10 wide receiver, get out of here, man.
Which was us, like not that long ago.
But like
Matt was the one who was.
We were kidding though, so
we were kidding.
Not really the same.
I was acting.
I was acting,
but it was a joke, and you guys didn't get it.
You guys fell for it.
I was acting.
The barstool route of being wrong, and then just being like, "Oh yeah,
barstool." We were barstool wrong.
We were just barstooling. Anyway,
that's the Cooper Kupp deal in a nutshell. It's the same thing, Aaron. You pay your guys that do well. Matt, do you want to talk about what Cam Newton said?
He said that joining the Panthers was a bad idea. I bet you most of the players who are on the Panthers think the same thing, dude. And it was. It's like, God bless him for coming back, But yeah, if you're trying to prove yourself and you join a completely dysfunctional, terrible roster in the middle of the season, that's not putting yourself in a great position to succeed. And I still think that Cam Newton is not that bad of a quarterback, but if you put, maybe a fringe starter in a really tough situation, it's going to look bad. And he's just been in some tough situations recently. I love Cam, but yeah, I don't disagree with him. I'm not mad at him for it. Panthers are maybe not as much of a mess as I made them out to be 3 or 4 months ago, but they're still not in great shape. And they definitely weren't in great shape last year when he joined.
Yeah, he called it, quote, if you missed it, he called it a fucked up situation, which it clearly was,
Yes.
him being in on third downs and then being yanked in and out of the starting lineup with no time to prepare. It's what he signed up for going back there, but like no one else was offered. I mean, they offered him.
But I feel bad because he wanted to be back with the Panthers.
Right.
Like he wanted to be on Carolina so bad that he was willing to accept that. So yeah, I mean, like, oh, you can say he sucks and it's his fault. No, it's his decision. But if he didn't join and people heard he had the option, they'd say, well, why didn't you? So I don't know. I feel for him. I get it.
Yeah,
it's tough.
No one else was offering him. I mean, he got paid like double digit, like $10 million, right? Like, I don't think anybody else was offering him $10 million, right? This wasn't some league minimum salary thing. So, yeah, it was. I mean, I don't blame him for taking it. I guess you could say, Cam Newton be like, it was a fucked up situation. MF, you joined the situation, but like, yeah, no one else was giving. He wasn't like he didn't have a bunch of other options.
I mean, yeah,
you made the sandwich. Cam Newton be like Panthers.
You remember that really good team that used to like switch out which quarterback was going to be in depending on the down.
Yes, no, I remember.
Of course, But I would say I'm back is still one of Cam Newton's top moments, dude. It was all worth it to me. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was so
that one week was sick. And they were 5-5, and you're like, oh my God, is this going to be the fairy tale dream end? Cam Newton's going to win us a Super Bowl? It didn't work out like that.
No.
But
he said, I signed on Thursday. I played on Sunday. At what point did you think I was going to be successful? The next week I started. That's still under 10 days of you being on the team and you're still trying to learn the offense. And yeah, I mean, it's true. Although at the time, I'm willing to bet that he was probably pushing to play that week one and said, I mean, I'd be willing to, any professional athlete is probably like, oh yeah, I'm good. Put me in, please. So I don't know. He's right that it was a messed up situation. If I was Seattle, I might give Cam a shot. Like, I think that there's a real chance that he's a smarter quarterback than Drew Lock and Geno Smith. I think there's a real chance that he offers a little bit more than they do at this point. But outside of that, I don't know. And that fulfills our quota of talking about the Browns and Cam Newton on the podcast.
We've hit it all today.
We've hit it all.
It's been a long time since we've talked about Cam Newton.
It has been a while.
I feel like it's been a long time since we've talked about the Browns.
We're gonna have to go real out there once he retires to find topics about this. But
Cam Newton just bought a house in Montana.
Cam Newton just said something vaguely sexist on a podcast.
Yeah. Should we talk about the fact that the Broncos are gonna have a new owner or no?
Yeah. Broncos got bought. I definitely do think I definitely do think that
Broncos
motivates a Russell Wilson deal is the team is for sale and Russell Wilson adds a couple $2 billion to like the worth of the team. I definitely think that was like thought about, when they made that deal, right? Like, hey, there's a couple this makes our franchise like $1 billion. Like that's $1 billion, right? That's kind of a lot. So I definitely think like, again, a dynamic that a lot of people may not think about, but could influence trades and things like that. I think that is something. Who bought it? I don't even. There's probably some huge joint ownership.
Walmart, something. I don't know. Like what? I don't know what strong opinions I'm supposed to have about some random dude.
Billionaire sells NFL team to other billionaire. Like news. Like,
that's interesting.
You know what is actually interesting though?
What, Blade?
What is?
Our good friends over at HelloFresh, everyone's favorite Stay Hot sponsor, where you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Go ahead, skip those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's and Stay Hot's #1 meal kit. HelloFresh is 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant, and it's even cheaper than grocery shopping, according to a Zagat dining survey. So that means money back in your pocket. And we all know we love money back in our pockets. HelloFresh has fit and wholesome recipes for satisfying and nutritious meals that you can feel good about, with 6 recipes to choose from per week, including low-calorie and low-carb or carb-cautious options. So make sure you head on over to HelloFresh.com/StayHot16 and use the code StayHot16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts. I haven't had HelloFresh in a while. I think I'm starting to go through withdrawal. It is heartbreaking. Again, make sure you go to HelloFresh.com/StayHot16. Use the code StayHot16 for HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Before we head out, we have one final segment, our new segment, Rank It. Theo, would you like to explain the rules of Rank It?
We got a list of cereals, and we're just ranking our list of cereals. Is how we're going to close this episode.
So are we doing our top 3 or our top 5?
I think we can do top 5 cereals.
Okay,
I have 4 solid ones, and I'm debating.
Here, let me can I use a cereal that's been discontinued?
Yes,
you can,
but there's an asterisk. Okay. But sure. What are yours, Blaiden? You're eating the most cereal, I think, of all of us.
You are serious about cereal.
I'm dead serious about cereal.
So I think yours is probably the most well-informed ranking. So I want to hear yours.
Well, I wouldn't say it's well-informed.
I wouldn't either. You're right. I was just trying to be nice.
Everyone has very critical opinions about my opinions about food. So, we'll see how this.
I'm hoping this one turns around. I know which one you're going to put high, and I think it's a fine take. So,
okay,
it's a Reese's Puffs. That's going to be your number 1.
Number 5 is going to be honeycomb. Big fan. I'm a big fan of any honey-based cereal. I think just overall, it does well. Like, Honey Nut Cheerios is another good example.
Honey Nut Cheerios are great.
They are good. That's an honorable mention for me. I do like Honey Nut Cheerios a lot. Number 4 is Frosted Flakes. Classic. And who doesn't like Frosted Flakes? I don't have to explain it. It gets the job done, right? If we were making a starting 5, Frosted Flakes.
There's 2 must-have cereals. You have one of them.
I have one of them. I'm probably not going to get the other one. And I'm trying to think about. It's probably Lucky Charms.
The other must-have cereal.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like Lucky Charms.
I don't know. That's not what I was
we'll figure
go
out.
Ahead. Go ahead. You've got
number 3.
4.
Number 3 is Reese's Puffs.
Okay, I was close.
You were close. I love Reese's Puffs. Like, if I'm
the
going
one
to the
you
store
eat the most, from what I can tell.
Well, because it's the most convenient, right? My number 2, it's
whereas all those other inconvenient cereals.
Well,
what makes that more
convenient?
What makes
here's okay
more convenient than Cheerios?
If you're eating a cereal, well, not necessarily more convenient than Cheerios, but more convenient than my number 2, which is Honey Bunches of Oats, because Honey Bunches of Oats is messy. Right? So when I'm living in an apartment that doesn't have a garbage disposal, it's really difficult to get the tiny flakes off the side of the bowl without and it takes longer to clean up, right?
Okay,
but that's not why but Honey Bunches of Oats is, I think, still a better cereal. But if I'm going to the store and I'm I know that cleanup might be an issue, I go Reese's Puffs.
Okay.
Right.
So convenience was not factored into these rankings.
It was not. Honey Bunches of Oats is like my favorite non-discontinued cereal, but my favorite cereal of all time has been discontinued, and it broke my heart when it got discontinued. And that's Waffle Crisp. Now, everyone in my family hated Waffle Crisp. They said it reeked of syrup, which it did, but I thought it was so unbelievably delicious. And yeah, I will.
Did it come in a large bag?
No.
Oh.
It was like just
Okay.
a regular box of like, I think it was by post.
Yes.
But Waffle Crisp was phenomenal. I would eat like an entire box, like in a single sitting. Like I won't do that for any other. I would just pour like 4 bowls of cereal and the entire box of Waffle Crisp gone. And you could only get it at Meijer. Like in the last few years that it was like on shelves, you could only get it at Meijer. I love that cereal. It like still breaks my heart
it's
to this
returning
day.
at select Walmart stores.
When?
According to
Where?
this article. Well, this was published in 2021. I'm just looking at it now. Fans continued to show their appreciation for Waffle Crisp even after it was gone, said Joe Woodward, Senior Associate Brand Manager at Post Consumer Brands. So it only made sense to bring it back in a bigger and better bag. Now you can buy Waffle Crisp at select Walmart near you, but I don't know if this is still a thing because this was over a year and a half ago. But
I'll look into it. Because if I can find Waffle Crisp, you best believe there will be a TikTok on the Stay Hot account of me eating Waffle Crisp.
okay,
It's the greatest cereal of all time. I will die on that hill. So that's my top 5. Honeycomb, Frosted Flakes, Reese's Puffs, Honey Bunches of Oats, Waffle Crisp.
okay. Matt, how about you?
Love it, hate it. It's the truth.
I'm still down 1. Do you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Okay, at number 5, I've got Corn Pops. I think that they are. I eat them even without milk. Sometime like popcorn almost. I don't need milk to think they're good. I don't know. They're very sugary and probably not super healthy.
I think Pops are underrated.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I don't know why. I'm really bad at describing why I like foods. I just do or I don't. I don't know why. And I like most foods, but I couldn't tell you why. But I do love me some Corn Pops. Number 4, same as you, Blaiden. I've got Frosted Flakes, a true classic. And number 3, I have plain Rice Krispies. I swear to God, I love that cereal, and I don't know why. Because you could say it's
They get
bland.
soggy too quick, man. They get soggy way too quick.
I can eat an entire. It does. It's like
I don't want to have a cereal that I have to scarf down. My fault.
I'll give you. Here's. No, you can go, Theo. It's your list.
A lot of the times, I'll eat when I'm bored. It's a bad habit of mine. I'll be bored and I'll eat. And Rice Krispies are the ultimate. I'm just bored and eating something snack for me, and I will eat them. I love them for that. And I eat them a lot because of that. They're not even like a breakfast thing. It's just like, I don't need something. They're light. All right. But anyway, number 2, I've got the Special K, like health cereal that's
not a bad
is
pick.
like almond vanilla. I think especially. I think it's super tasty. And also I don't know if this is true or not. If it's not, no one tell me. I like to think that it's somewhat healthier than some of these other cereals. So I'm actually a fan of all kind of healthy cereals like Raisin Bran or whatever you want to say. I think they're all good. Put some like dried cranberries.
Raisin Bran's kind of underrated.
Put a dried cranberry in a cereal, and I like it. So whatever Special K one has dried cranberries. And then number 1, I've got a cereal that I don't know if anybody's ever heard of. They're called Mini Spooners. They come in a large, like industrial sized bag. They're like the knockoff brand. I think Post makes them now. But here's the thing about my hometown of Northfield, Minnesota. There's a cereal factory here. There's a factory that makes cereal. It was called Malto Meal. It was bought out by Post. And they're the ones that come in the industrial sized huge bags. And they're like not called Cheerios. They're called like Honey-O's. And it's like no one will ever get them because they're not a brand name. But growing up here, they're our brand name, okay? And Mini Spooners are like the Frosted Mini Wheat knockoffs, but they're a million times better than the Frosted Mini Wheats. and I love them, and they're my favorite. That is my list of the
Did
5.
we get those when we were in Vegas? Or
I don't know. This is not the first time I've heard of mini spooners.
I feel like Theo, you had
I think I may have fed them to you
around
guys in Phoenix when you guys were there. I think I may have been like, all I have is
That's
mini
funny.
spooners. And you guys liked
That's
it,
what
right?
it was.
You guys, I think
Yeah, no, they were good. They were good.
maybe you were just. Yes, that's all. That's like all I had to feed you to when you came to Phoenix for.
He just had bags and
unspecified
bags
reasons.
of mini spooners.
That's right.
Yes.
I knew. I
And
was like, I know
sandwiches.
Theo's like.
Yeah.
And then what's
Sandwiches
your-
and
that
mini
was your number
spooners, and that was my number one. So I'm done.
Okay.
Not a lot of
Brings it to
chocolatey
me.
things in
I
there.
have-
kind of a lot of frosted things.
I think
there.
chocolates. I think chocolate cereal super overrated.
I think it's okay.
I think
It's all right,
I
yeah.
think it's overrated.
It's okay.
I don't know. Not a big fan. Matt, what's your list?
And number 5, I have Golden Grams. Me and my friends have a
good
Golden
take.
Gram
So underrated,
Good take.
actually.
a month ago.
Excellent-
We actually
excellent
they're low
take.
because we
Excellent
we
take.
ate so many of them. We got sick of them a little bit, but it's like listening to
That's-
an
that's
album
what
too much.
yeah.
Give it a couple of months and it'll come back.
Happened to me.
I
Number
forgot
4,
about that cereal.
this is maybe the hot take. I have Fruit Loops at number 4. Fruit Loops are great. They're great. Okay, good. It's like
good.
they're a little bit of a kid cereal, but I don't care. I don't care.
All
I think-
cereals, all cereal is kids.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
I think it's the only fruit cereal I really like all that much. I
Trix is
think
pretty
I
good.
think
I
the
like
little
Trix
circle
more than
shape.
Fruit Loops.
Oh, I disagree a lot. I,
I like
honestly think
Trix,
Trix is
Fruit
not
Loops,
that good.
Fruity Pebbles, Apple Jacks.
It is for kids.
Yeah, that one is definitely for kids.
Silly rabbit.
But Fruit Loops probably has the best mascot of any cereal. Yes. It's a bird, Theo, so you should.
I do love me a toucan.
The Apple Jacks.
Okay.
The Apple Jacks mascots are
Ooh, that's
Uncanny
probably a
Valley.
good take.
the cinnamon. Come on, bro.
But yeah, I think the little circle shape, the Cheerio shape, is a superior shape for cereal. It's a good amount of crunch, and they don't get soggy too quick. Which at number 3 is why I have plain Cheerios.
Good take as well. I thought about adding.
I think
them.
you can
love them.
go like. I don't eat as much cereal as you, Bladen, but when I did, I could go through some serious Cheerios. And there's something about having something a little bit blander. I feel like I'm eating a bunch of oats. I always think that's funny when I'm
I thought about
downing my
putting
third
Cheerios.
bowl.
I thought about putting Cheerios on my list.
They're
And
very good.
the key to Cheerios isn't even that they're good, is that they're versatile. If I'm running low on a box, and that I also thought about this with Rice
a good
Krispies
point.
too, Theo. If I'm running low on a box of cereal, the two things that I can use to like add cereal to is Cheerios and Rice Krispies.
I've never combined cereals before. I do
do
love
love
me
when
just a bland ass cereal though. I don't know why.
Right.
Rice Krispies, Cheerios. I'm just eating a bunch of grain or something. I don't know.
See,
that's
what else are
probably
you
not
gonna eat?
actually what's happening. But it's like I'm just eating my grain, man.
No,
I'm like
it's
I'm like a
it's
cow.
100%. You know, and it's
Like
not
a
all the
horse.
time. It can't be your favorite, right? But it's got a lot of uses, so I'm high on Cheerios. Number 2 is Frosted Flakes because, of course, that's a superior cereal. It's a classic.
Yeah. Also,
It
it might be the goat cereal if all
It is.
three
It's
of us
it's
have us.
it's the
have
goat.
it.
It's not, if we're
It
talking
doesn't have
about
to be
like
your favorite, but
this list is my personal opinion, but if I'm talking like objectively, Frosted Flakes won. That's the goat.
Okay.
yeah, probably.
But the number 1 I have Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That is, it's very I don't know what to tell you. It's very tasty. I think I'm surprised that neither of you two had it.
Yeah,
honestly,
I'm
pretty
on me.
stunned.
I probably should have.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch it's just the right amount of. I mean, it's really sweet, but it's just the right amount of sweet, and it makes the milk
You know what?
really yummy. It's
Malto
I'll
meal
tell you,
version is also
I cannot
really good.
I cannot eat 3 straight bowls of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I'll give you that. But,
Like you start to feel kind of sick after 3 straight bowls of Cinnamon
but I just
Toast
don't do
Crunch.
that, and it's really great. So
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
no. I agree. There's a lot that I like. There's not really a cereal that I really dislike.
Most cereals are good. I agree.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't dispute
this was a good first rank it because you can't possibly go wrong here. Shout out to Morganimal WVU for suggesting cereals in the chalkboard chat. So if you would like to suggest something for the next rank it or for question of the week, make sure you're in the chalkboard. Again, link is in our bio, or if you're watching on YouTube, links in the description. But I'm pretty sure that wraps things up for us today. As always, tons of content coming away on all platforms. We'll be back. What is today? This is a Friday episode.
Now it's
We'll
Friday.
be back. We'll be back.
No,
We'll be back
yeah.
Monday. We'll be back Monday with
yeah.
another. Well, I'll be back on Saturday for my live stream. Theo, do you have a PS5 yet?
No.
Why,
I don't.
Bro.
Maybe
Do I have to
one.
buy you a PS5? Like, what are we doing here?
You don't have to, but it would be nice.
I'm not going to.
What about
I don't think I can write that off if I buy you a PS5.
If your album blows up, you should.
If the album does stupid numbers,
well, I have to quit the industry forever if you beat Kendrick.
There's an in between of stupid numbers and better than Kendrick Lamar that'll get you a PS5
it's somewhere
and you
in
can
that-
keep doing Stay Hot.
I'm hoping it's somewhere in that range.
I have to get more streams than Kendrick? That was the deal.
I think you have to outsell his album, or your top song has to have more listens than any of Kendrick's top songs on Spotify.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's about 80 million.
So if I get 70 million streams on Spotify, I'll buy you a PS5.
Perfect. Everybody go listen to Blaiden's album. What if I listen
on July 4th
together?
How long would it take me to stream a song 70 million times?
Yeah, just stream my album or 70 million times and then never listen to it again.
Every little bit counts.
So that Theo can get a PS5 but not quit the industry. But that pretty much.
If you really hate me and want me to quit the industry, listen to it a couple more.
Yeah, listen to it a couple million more times. But that wraps things up for us. Tons of content coming on all platforms. As always, from Corn Boy, Bird Boy, and Lemon Boy, we will catch you all on the flippity flop. What's up, everyone? I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I know you trust us with your sports content. So Blue Wire now has a new podcast called Don't Trip, where they give sex, relationship, and dating advice. So make sure you hit the link in the description and subscribe for Don't Trip's hilarious and insightful content.